We've got the final ratings for the NBA, and the ratings are down. And now we know why, thanks to a Harris poll. And we were all right. Donald Trump was right. Nobody wants politics when they're trying to escape from reality. Well, they want to chill, man. We want to watch sports. We want to have a good time. Basketball's not my jam. I like watching skate videos. My Instagram is basically nothing but skate videos. I don't need to turn on a skate video and then see a bunch of people talking about, Black Lives Matter or something. That's what sports are supposed to be for. And we'll get to that in a sec. We will get to that in a second. But what's interesting here, 38% of sports fans say NBA is too political as the reason they are watching less. Now, of course, you may say, but it's only 38%, but it is, in fact, the plurality. The next biggest number was 28% due to no fans makes it really boring. And I got to admit, that's true. And I'm sure the players feel it too. There's no hype. There's no booing. There's no cheering. It's boring. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I watch skateboarding. You don't really have a cheering audience for skateboarding. You just watch someone do a trick or whatever. But I guess, well, let's read this and we'll see what's up. From the Harris poll, they say 38% of sports fans say NBA is too political as the reason they are watching less. Basketball fans are souring on the NBA's support of teams and players, bringing politics onto the court, tossing an assist to President Donald Trump in his attacks on the league. People are tired of watching the highly political NBA. Basketball ratings are way down, and they won't be coming back. I hope football and baseball are watching and learning, because the same thing will be happening to them. Stand tall for our country and our flag. Trump tweeted to his 86 million followers yesterday. On my main channel segment over at youtube.com/Timcast, I talked about how small towns are seeing their politicians flip from Democrat to Republican. And I think what I should have absolutely emphasized here is that the Democratic Party and these basketball players and the media are taking their cues from Twitter. No joke. A tiny, tiny fraction, like 1% of the population on Twitter, these active progressives. And then the NBA is like, okay, let's do this. But that's not you. That makes no sense. You're alienating 39%. Wow. Well, let's read this. You're alienating these people for what? Because someone posted a hot take on Twitter? Well, enjoy being broke. A new Harris poll backs Trump's critique of the NBA, with 39% of sports fans saying they are watching far fewer games. And the chief reason why? Politics. The longtime polling agency surveyed nearly 2,000 people over the weekend and gave people 10 options to choose from on why they are watching less basketball. Quote, the league has become too political was the clear choice for the decline, with 38% of respondents. Quote, boring without fans captured 28% of the vote, while the NBA's association with China caused 19% of sports fans to turn the dial. Woo! Wow! That I did not expect. I knew the get woke, go broke thing, but this is such a massive victory for Donald Trump. China at 19%? Wow, man. That's a good reason, I gotta admit. They say another nod to a league Trump labeled a political organization last week after players boycotted games in response to a police shooting in Kenosha. NBA ratings are in fact down overall through the first round of the playoffs compared with last year. But it's hardly an apples-to-apple comparison. Summer TV viewership typically lags springtime watching when the playoffs are normally aired. This year, the overall numbers are skewed by the need to air games during the day to accommodate a playoff calendar that has been condensed because of the pandemic. Ratings are up over last year's playoffs for the games that have aired in prime time. And I'll tell you what, too. I think a big factor here as well, because we still got large percentages, I'm willing to bet jamming all of these games in onto like non-primetime schedules is boring. The players are probably bored. They're not doing their best. Who wants to watch this? All right. So they've done it to themselves. But look, all in all, this reflects poorly on Democrats. They're the ones who are locking everything down. They're the ones supporting the absurdity. Americans do not like this. We don't want China messing with our business, and we don't want politics in our sports. They say, while the data shows the league's political leanings will undoubtedly cause some not to watch, the NBA is balancing the issue of racial justice, supporting its players, and completing a successful finish to the season, said John Gerzema, the Harris Poll CEO. The basketball bubble has kept the league immune from cases of COVID infection, but not immune from the impact politics can have on ratings and public sentiment. Trump and the NBA star players have been at odds since he took office in 2017. It's a tradition for teams that win championships to visit the White House. But the Golden State Warriors, who won the 2017 NBA Finals, followed the lead of their star Stephen Curry and refused to visit. Trump quickly withdrew the invitation after the slight. LeBron James has called Trump a bum, and Trump targeted James after the four-time MVP appeared on CNN discussing the opening of his charter school. The responses on why people are watching fewer games tilted based on party affiliation, not surprisingly. 57% of Republicans chose too political, and 36% selected China as reasons they watch fewer games. The corresponding figures among Democrats were 22% and 8%. Democrats don't care about China. But the politics thing, that's really interesting. 22% of Democrats said too political. Harris also found the NBA is more partisan than any other sport. Only 34% of Republicans say they actively follow the NBA, compared with 48% of Democrats. The gap of 14 points is the largest for any sport. For comparison, 54% of Democrats actively follow the NFL versus 51% of Republicans. I can't say I'm surprised by any of these findings. I can't. And I bet you can't either. Now, I wonder if they mentioned that the Republicans don't follow the NBA compared to Democrats. I wonder if that has something to do with racial demographics for fan bases. You know, some people are pointing out that the NBA is going to turn their arenas into voting stations, and they thought this was an attempt to shore up the black vote. I don't know if that's true or not, and it sounds kind of racist. You know what I mean? Like to assume like that. that's what they're saying. You know, whatever. But I do wonder if you check the demographics, would that be a big factor? But take a look at this. We got the final numbers: 27% down. Well, there it is. Get woke, go broke, confirmed. I saw something interesting. I think it was from Ben Shapiro. I've often talked about this. I mean, this is it for me. Look, I don't watch basketball. I mean, I might watch it passively, like at a sports bar, eating some wings. Eating some saucy nugs, because I prefer the saucy nugs over the bone-in wings, or just regular wings, I guess. Do you get the reference? It's a funny reference. You should check it out. Google it. Anyway, the point is, I don't actively pay attention to this stuff, but I do like playing card games, board games. I like skateboarding. I like playing music. And I don't like politics injected into these things. I saw something from Ben Shapiro. Someone mentioned, what are you trying to escape from by watching sports? And then Ben, I think it was Ben Shapiro, I could be wrong, linked to the etymology, I believe that's the correct word, the root of the word sport. And it literally means escaping from responsibility. It was quite literally a reference to people being done with work and saying, let's think about something else. I don't know what the first sport was, but I can tell you this, be it gaming, esports, whatever, I don't think people want this. And that's why I think it started with gaming because of the gaming industry, and it has a lot to do with what you could write about. Early on in esports, there's not a whole lot to write about in gaming. So these clickbait blogs needed to pump out content to get traffic. Well, you can only review a game so many times. You can only talk about someone so much when it's a small industry. It's a budding industry. So they decided to look for political controversy. They then started injecting, once you start writing these articles, then they start putting pressure on these companies, start injecting politics into the games. And guess what? Get woke, go broke. People aren't having it. Some video games have done an okay job, but it carries on from there. I tell you this, man, I warned of this. I'm not kidding. I said 2 years ago, maybe, just wait until they bring this stuff to your mainstream major league sports. It will be hilarious. But we're not stopping here. Do you think it ends with this? No, you'd be wrong. I'll tell you where it's going. I'd be willing to bet if Joe Biden wins and our culture shifts in this direction, which I don't think it necessarily is. I think Trump's going to win, but we'll see how it plays out. If we keep going in this direction, it's only a matter of time before protesters show up and the rules are changed and the league has to be a certain amount female. No joke. They're going to be like, you can't have people over a certain height, under a certain height, and you have to have this many, you have to have a certain number of people who are female and non-binary. And they're going to say, because I've actually talked to people about this, if the rules of all of these sports are arbitrary in the sense that we made them up, we could change them. Who's to stop the NBA from saying all teams must be half female and no dunking allowed? Why not? We can just make the rule. How about we get rid of dribbling? Have you seen the South Park episode Sarcastable? That's kind of like this. They keep changing the rules because they can. And the game eventually becomes not nonsensical and stupid because everyone's overly sensitive about their kids getting hurt or something. I would not be surprised if in, 15 years, basketball is, you have a racial quota, a gender quota, dunking and dribbling are banned, and it's basically people running around a court and they're throwing the ball. It'll be like court rugby or something. Well, here's the thing. You can't jump too high. You can't throw too hard. You got to cut off the tall grass. Or they'll just have rotating teams of random people, and then you have nothing to root for. Why not, though? If they do this in video games and movies, why wouldn't they do it in sports? And then you'll really see get woke, go broke. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up in a few minutes. Stick around, and I will see you all shortly.